Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of Know Your World with Nishi. Today, we discuss Central Asia's largest city, Shymkent. But before we do that, you may want to know that we have videos on other cities of Kazakhstan like Almaty, Turkistan. If you're interested in Central Asia, do follow this channel. Shymkent, or Chymkent in Russian, is the third largest city in Kazakhstan by population. And guess what? The largest city in all of Central Asia by area. Shymkent was the capital of the Turkestan region, which was once known as the South Kazakhstan region. It is a bustling metropolis with modern skyline of high-rise buildings, broad avenues, advanced infrastructure, spacious parks, and vibrant nightlife. Just about 120 kilometers from Tashkent, the capital of Uzbekistan, Shymkent is situated close to the foothills of the Ugam range of the western Tian Shan mountain system and is adorned with nature's abundance of scenic landscapes. The name Shymkent means green city, that came from green reeds that were used to cover mud houses to protect from the blazing heat in the olden days. The city has a historic connection to the Silk Route. The Shymkala Citadel of Shymkent, an ancient fortress and a significant archaeological site today, was built to offer protection for traders passing through Sayram, an important trading city on the Silk Route. The city underwent an enormous transformation after the Russians conquered Central Asia in the 19th century. Shymkent became an industrial town as its neighboring mountains were rich in minerals. Many may not know that Shymkent is home to the rare grey tulips that ultimately found its way to Europe via the Silk Route. In fact, it is believed that the ancestors of tulips at the famous Keukenhof Garden at Amsterdam come from South Kazakhstan. Indeed, red tulip is now Shymkent's official emblem. Before we get to the attractions of Shymkent, here are some useful information on Shymkent for travelers, especially from India. Kazakhstan does not require visa for stays up to 14 days. At present, there is a direct service to Shymkent from Delhi via Fly Aristan. The flight takes about 3 hours and tickets aren't expensive if one books early. One can also reach Shymkent from Almaty by train or flight. We took a train from Almaty and the ride was fun. The stations were very clean. So guys, we are waiting at the Almaty station waiting hall. Just imagine, this beautiful place was built in the 1930s. I think 1936, if I've got the date right. Pretty neat, pretty well maintained, and of course, unlike India, much less crowded. There's enough place for people to sit. There are the ticket counters. There are refreshment centers. It's a pretty impressive railway station. We'll soon be going to the platform. Our guide tells us that our train has already come to our platform. But we have enough time. Our train starts at 11:45. Coach attendants check your ticket, your passport if you're a foreigner, or a local ID if you're a Kazakh national before letting you inside the coach. Since the trains run on meter gauge rails, the compartments are small, especially if you have a lot of heavy luggage. I must mention that the attendants are remarkably helpful in assisting you in arranging your luggage inside the compartment. The trains don't ride at very high speed, maybe 70 to 80 kilometers per hour. The sleep through the night was comfortable and you wake up to fabulous views of the Kazakh countryside. For those visiting from Tashkent in Uzbekistan can cross the border and drive to Shymkent. It hardly takes about 3 hours. Typical of South Kazakhstan, end April to October, although June to August could be very hot. April is the best time to see the red tulips in full bloom all over Shymkent's countryside. I visited in October, which had its own charm of the beautiful colors of golden autumn. Also remember that Shymkent is the sunniest city in the country and South Kazakhstan is extremely dry all through the year. Remember to keep sipping water and applying lip balm during your stay. The ideal time to spend in Shymkent is about 3 days. Spend a day in the city exploring its various sites. There are also interesting offbeat attractions for nature lovers in the vicinity which can be covered on day trips. Destinations that can be added on a trip to Shymkent are Turkistan, Almaty and Tashkent. If you start your exploration of Shymkent during the day or want to escape the city's heat, head to Dendr Park, that is quite cool even during summers. Dendr Park, or the Dendrology Park, is the largest public garden in Shymkent. It was laid in the 1880s in honor of the local Soviet leader Asanbey Askarov on the site of a former wasteland and is now one of the prime attractions of Shymkent. At a vast 150 hectares, the park has over 1,000 different types of trees and shrubs, many of which are exotic and were brought from more than 50 countries around the world. Seeds from many such trees from here were also sown in different parts of Shymkent, which is why Shymkent has a youthful green cover over the city. The vast foliage of the Dendr Park keeps the area cool even during peak summer. It is a popular recreational site for locals and tourists for nature walks, cycling and boating. The city of Shymkent owes its prominence to Shymkala, a hilltop fortress. The citadel was built to protect the nearby town of Sayram, a major trading center on the ancient Silk Route. The old settlement of Shymkent evolved around the citadel and served as the residence of the city's ruling elite. In the olden days, there were 3 zones of residency around the citadel. The outermost one was called the Rabat, where poor people lived. The one closer to the citadel was called Shakrana, that was inhabited by rich people. The citadel was of course the home to the rulers. Shymkala was abandoned and remained in ruins after the Russians seized Shymkent in 1864. It was recently rebuilt and restored in the architectural style of its last occupants, the Kokand dynasty. Today, it is more like an open-air museum and cultural center where visitors can stroll through the remains of old settlements, mosques, bathhouses and more. If Almaty has an Independence or Republic Square, Shymkent boasts of an Independence Park that was inaugurated in 2011 to mark Kazakhstan's 20th year of freedom from the Soviet rule. It is a large recreational park with beautiful gardens and open public spaces. So this is the Independence Square of Shymkent. This was built in 2011 to celebrate 20 years of independence from Soviet Union. The main attraction of the Independence Park is the towering monument of Altyn Shanerek, which means golden roof. The golden roof structure is shaped like a yurt, a traditional Kazakh dwelling, and is made of 137 metal poles representing the 137 ethnicities of Kazakhstan. Adding to the charm are the decorative arches, obelisks, plaques of Kazakhstan's history, and a 50-meter tall flagpole. A short walk from the Independence Park is the Ordabasi Square that forms the city center of Old Shymkent. An overhead pedestrian bridge connects the Independence Park to the Ordabasi Square. This bridge symbolizes the transition of Kazakhstan from the old times to modernity. Ordabasi Square is a historical landmark where leaders of 3 prominent Kazakh clans signed a treaty of unity in the 18th century. In their honor, a triangular tower named Zarana, meaning Mother Earth, was later erected to commemorate Kazakh national unity. The Ordabasi Mosque, fountains, Old Kirgi Bazaar and Koshara River front are all located around this public square. Right between Altyn Shanerek and Ordabasi Square is the famous Koshara River. The city of Shymkent is believed to have been born close to this river that originated from spring water. There are various legends as to how this river came about. According to one, Koshkarata, the great Kazakh Sufi saint and disciple of Khoja Ahmad Yasavi, asked his brother to deliver water to Yasavi, who was based in Turkistan. The sibling was instructed not to look back while on his way there, but alas, the man did, and water fell out of the container. Brooks came up that joined to form the river. Another says that the spring came up from under the rock on which Koshkarata was sitting and quenched the thirst of travelers. Walk away from the fountains and you'll find people feeding a big school of rare marinka fish found only in this river. The first look at the ruins of the phosphoric palace of culture may not arouse any interest. Broken glass strewn all around, damaged walls, peeling plaster. But when you think of its rich past during the Soviet rule, you can't but wonder as to why this beautiful piece of architecture hasn't been maintained well. Known as Dvorets Kulturi in Russian, the phosphoric Palace of Culture was a typical community center built in various industrial towns of the former USSR for the artistic and recreational pursuits of workers and their families. The one in Shymkent was constructed for the metallurgists or phosphorniks who worked in the city's lead factories. Other than the typical brutalist style of architecture, the place used to house an auditorium with a large seating capacity. So this is one of the projector rooms where Russian movies were beamed onto the screen, which during the Soviet days used to screen Bollywood movies as well. My guides tell me that when they were young, they used to come here with their parents to watch shows, ballets, theatres, operas. This place was buzzing. The statue of Baidebek Karasholi is the tallest monument in Kazakhstan. Known as Baidebek B, where B stands for wise leader. He was respected for his wisdom and fair judgment and was instrumental in uniting several Kazakh tribes by resolving their disputes in the 14th century. What more, the hilltop that the grand statue of Baidebek B stands on offers panoramic views of the entire city. Shymkent, like Almaty, has its own Arbad Street, a pedestrian zone in the heart of Shymkent. It is an open public space with beautiful boulevards, playgrounds and gardens. I personally think Arbad Street is best visited in the evenings when the place comes alive with colorful lights. Shymkent offers beautiful drives on various sides of the city that take you to some of nature's kindest blessings. Some of these attractions, even when they are in the same direction, could be far apart and require driving time of an hour or even more. But the stunning landscape ensures that you enjoy every moment of it. Drive north through jaw-dropping landscape to Akmeshet, or the White Mosque. This large limestone cave is believed to be an underground mosque with mystical powers. The largest cave in Central Asia, of the size of a stadium, is believed to have offered shelter to Kazakhs during the Zungar Mongol invasion in the 17th century. Locals also consider it a sacred place that can fulfill wishes. What's amazing is that while the region just outside the cave is dry and barren, the cave itself is pleasantly cool with mulberry trees and chirping birds around. This is the Akmeshet cave. This is the largest cave in Central Asia, not just Kazakhstan but Central Asia. Massive natural formation. This is in the Baidebek region, and it is believed that, or legend has it that this cave is where the Kazakh soldiers, when they were fighting the Zungars, they took shelter. This place has a unique environment within it. So the temperature is usually between 17 to 20 degrees centigrade. So during summer season, when outside it's extremely hot, inside the cave it's pretty cool, and during winters when Things are very cold outside. This place is quite warm. If you feel like going off the highway into the mountainous terrain, head towards the Boralday Gorge. A drive through dirt road will take you to a spectacular valley in the Karatau Mountains. Its topography is marked by Boralday River, which flows through the wilderness of this mountainous region before joining the Sirdarya River. It's an absolutely surreal place. This is the Boralday Pass. Over there is the Big Tura Mountain, a tabletop mountain. And over there is the Small Tura Mountain, also a tabletop mountain. This pass is in the middle of nowhere. The views may not be very clear now because it's got a little dark. At the far end is the Boralday River. There are some petroglyphs here too that have been formed over centuries. These petroglyphs have images of wild animals and hunting, which is because this area was full of wild animals once upon a time, and the cavemen here used to hunt these animals. Let's go and check out these petroglyphs. The gorge is renowned for its petroglyphs and prehistoric rock art of wild animals, which date back thousands of years. Boralday Gorge is also famous for the wild tulips, which cover hill slopes in a blanket of red flowers every spring. On the way to Sayram Ugam National Park, stop over briefly at Mal Bazar, a weekend animal market for nomadic communities across rural Kazakhstan. The market bustles in activity every Friday where villagers bring their cattle, animal products and dairy items for sale. Horses, essential to Kazakh families even in modern times, are traded for high prices. For instance, a male adult horse trades for about 700,000 to 1 million tenge, which translates to $1,600 to $2,200. An old horse for about half a million tenge or about $1,100. A male sheep for about 60,000 tenge or about $135. Or a goat which trades for about 20,000 tenge or about $45. We're on our way to Sayram Ugam National Park. It's just about an hour from Shymkent. Now it rained yesterday, though almost the whole day, and which is why this entire Tian Shan mountain system that you see is all snow-clad. It's stunning vistas, as you can see from these shots. Colorful trees. There is a beautiful stream passing through, and there are these snow-clad peaks, all part of the Tian Shan mountain system. I mean, it's a view to to remember for the rest of your life. You just have to brace the cold wind. It's very windy and quite cold. So if you can take that, then it's just stunning views. Just about 70 kilometers from Shymkent, Sayram Ugam National Park is another must-visit attraction. High up in the mountains of the Tian Shan mountain system bordering Uzbekistan, its mountain slopes are covered with forests of 4 different juniper trees. Hike up to a panoramic viewpoint on the Sazanata Gorge to get incredible vistas of the Ugam's ridges' snowy peaks up close. So we are in the Sayram Ugam National Park. So in the Sayram Ugam National Park, this is a magnificent viewpoint. We took about 15-20 minutes to hike up to this viewpoint. Now this is called the Sazanata viewpoint because you can see a gorge there. That gorge goes by the name Sazanata, so it's called the Sazanata Gorge, and there is a river just next to it, just below it. It's called the Sazanata Chu. So Chu means river in Kazakh language. Then above the gorge, you can see the mountain ranges. So this is the Ugam ridge within the Tian Shan mountain system. The snow-clad peaks, that's part of the Ugam ridge.
within the Tian Shan mountain system, and behind that, a few kilometers away, is Kyrgyzstan. So if you notice, we are not too far from the Kyrgyzstan border, and you can also see various kinds of juniper trees. So in Almaty region, we saw, and even in Kyrgyzstan, we saw a lot of pine trees. But here you see various varieties, and prominently 4 varieties of juniper trees. Moving on to the right, we see some beautiful houses, building structures that have been taken on lease by Arabs. Apparently, they've been taken on 49-year-old lease. Behind the Arab private residences is Sayram the Sayram River, and the Sayram Gorge. And the mountain system above it, the snow clads, is the Karjantau Ridge, which again is part of the Tian Shan mountain system. And if you notice, again you see, the juniper, various kinds of juniper trees below the snow clad in the lower areas. And behind the Karjantau Ridge is Uzbekistan, not too far from here. So we know from Shymkent to Uzbekistan is hardly about 150 odd kilometers. So it's on that side that you see Uzbekistan. So a beautiful place amidst Sayram Ugam National Park. Highly recommended. We're of course lucky because it rained a lot yesterday, and therefore the entire upper regions of these mountain ranges are all full of snow. So they just added to the charm, the beauty of this place. But nevertheless, you will always, whenever you come, you will always find snow at the top of these mountain peaks, and the whole landscape, the whole vista is extremely pretty, extremely beautiful.
What more? Sit down for a picnic lunch by the Sayram River deep inside the forest. I have seen many a stunning sight in Kazakhstan, but none more beautiful than this small hamlet at the Kaskasu Gorge.
Another gem from Shymkent's bag of treasure. This is the Kaskasu Gorge. My God, every place that I go to in the outskirts of Shymkent, I think is the most beautiful place I've come to. But every time it just gets better and better. Just look at this place. There is horse riding. You can hike up these hills. You can practice archery. You can stay at these yurtas. This one can fit in about 50 people. It's that big. Or if you don't want to stay for the night, you can just come here, maybe have lunch here, do your activities, do your hiking and horse riding, and just walking around, or just simply sunbathing. There's this place to play soccer, football. There's a swing there. It's a great place for kids. Rarely have I come to a place that is so pretty and beautiful. But then I think I'm just getting a little repetitive when I say this, because every place that I go to in Kazakhstan looks as beautiful.
This absolutely beautiful, stunning settlement at the foothills of the Tian Shan mountains has picturesque alpine settings of vast meadows that spread all the way up to the snowy clad mountains. The sight of grazing cattle, nomadic horsemen, and white utes in lush green landscape is sure to stay with you for a long time. If the Almaty region boasts of Sayram Canyon, Shymkent matches it with its Aksu Canyon. A picturesque spot in the Aksu Nature Reserve, the canyon is the deepest gorge in Central Asia. Its stunning landscape of 30 kilometers long and 500 meters deep canyons has been formed by the icy waters of the Aksu River, gushing down the glaciers of the Tian Shan Mountains for centuries. Hike down the canyon to the valley deep below to dip your feet in the ice-cold Aksu River.
So this is the second canyon that we've come to in Kazakhstan. The first one was the Charan Canyon. Very different landscape. Uh, Here we have the Aksu, which is the Aksu River, and this is the Aksu Canyon. This is just one part of the Aksu Canyon. It's a massive canyon. There are various other points of viewing the Aksu Canyon. So if you see, there are these chambers. There are these chambers made in the rocks. They almost look like private rooms, independent rooms. We trekked down from the road from where we could see the canyon, and we just hiked down to this river, a river that gushes, very strong current, and it's coming from there, from deep down the mountains, from high up the mountains. As we come to the end of our tour of South Kazakhstan for now, we leave from here tomorrow morning. We go to Uzbekistan. Uh, South Kazakhstan, particularly Shymkent and Turkistan and the regions around it, I just didn't expect this. We'd done our research and we'd come here, but what we saw here, it was just beyond imagination. Nature is at its best here. Uh, the national park, some of those, some of the canyons that we visited, the steps between Shymkent and Otrar and then Turkistan, the drive to Achusai and the other places, they were just so beautiful. I think the rest of the world and definitely India needs to know. Goodbye from Kazakhstan. Hope you like this video. Do check out our other videos on Central Asia. Thanks for watching.
Unwinds live their stories